Hi, are you there? Hi, Kim Tong-un? Kim
Yep.
Tong-yun? Okay.
Yeah, how are you doing, sir?
Okay, so let me go to your paper here and make sure I share the screen. And this is being recorded, so I'll send you the link after it's done. Later on in the day. So here's their paper. And of course, the most important issue to make sure that is clear is that you make sure that you use and cite information from at least three different chapters, okay? Three different chapters,
Yeah.
chapters 1 through 12.
Mhm.
And then so let's go back to the beginning here. So one of my tasks, I think, is to help our students polish their already wonderful English writing, English language skills, and make them even better than they already are. And so, in terms of scholarly writing, I suggest this, right? That when you're writing, you don't need to use the word I or we or us or me or mine, because in scholarly writing, you're just making a truth statement. You're making a thesis truth statement, a truth claim. You're stating something that you claim as the truth, and you just make the statement and you prove it. So you don't say I think, or I would like to say. Just tell me what the difference is between Howard Zinn and Daniel Flynn, and prove it. Then prove it with evidence, right? And that evidence includes citing sources, citing scholarly information from specific scholarly information from scholarly sources, like the book, the class book. So you say Howard Zinn is a historian who did criticism of elite domination. Maybe I'll say this again just in case I make more changes. So let's go like this, save as, and go like this, and go to there. Okay, and this doesn't need to be capitalized. We'll see. Howard Zinn is a historian who did criticism of elite domination, leading the Black Civil Rights Movement, anti-war movement, saying reality of America during the colonial era, like total cruelty. Also, I guess that's a sentence fragment, because it doesn't. It's not really a full sentence. So let's put that sentence, this sentence, into this sentence, and so Zinn writes that on page 6 of the book. Okay, I think I did check on that. I think I did find that. Also, he criticizes that the America is a country only for the elite and by elite. Howard Zinn lived by or through the people, Howard Zinn, as lived by the people, said capitalism. So again, in terms of also one of my tasks, like I mentioned, to help you polish your writing skills, when I make a suggestion as to how you might correct something or make it better, I typically just don't tell you how I would write it. I want you to choose something that you like. And so I make like 2 suggestions, and I let the student choose one of those suggestions or whatever they want, any change they want. So I suggested that you are saying it as lived by or through the people. So either one is okay, by or through, but you should choose which one you want there. And if you choose, you have to think about it. If you think about it, you learn more, right? Said capitalism, the maintenance of military power, American bipartisan. Said capitalism and the maintenance of military power, American bipartisanist of American bipartisan. I guess I would say politics or class domination, class politics, maybe class politics, or class domination, oppress the people, oppresses the people, oppresses or abuses. I'll let you choose the people, and then I suggest here that you do not use contractions in scholarly writing because they are a form of informal speech. So you talk about according to script, Daniel J. Flynn said, unlike propaganda, there's a smallest racism in the US or within the US. So again, you should choose one of those to make it a little more clear. Among multi-ethnic countries, and gap between rich and poor is just because of the economic scale has grown. Also, America has a long distance, the US or America. I'll let you choose there what you want to, one of those two. And when you see this little blue line, it means there's a grammar issue. So it wants a comma. See what happens when I put the comma, it'll disappear. Well, it should disappear. It did disappear. Well, I don't know why. Oh, there it did. Okay. Also, the US, America has a long distance from is, I would say not has, or is a long distance, or is or stands. Again, I'll let you choose which one of those you want to use. Is or stands a long distance from the imperialism of other states, from the historical imperialism of other great powers. So again, which one of those do you prefer? From the imperialism of other states or from the historical imperialism of other great powers? Which one do you like? Either one's okay.
Imperialism of the states.
From the imperial other states. Okay, so I'll just cross that out and let you go ahead and fix it up if you want to. I mean, because you can change your mind, whatever. But just that's what I mean. I make two suggestions, and I let you choose. So also the U.S. or America, which do you prefer? The U.S. or America?
The U.S.
Okay, the U.S. So again, I'll just let you clean that up. Is or stands a long distance?
Stands.
Stands. Okay. I'll just clean that up. Okay, so that's we can see how different they are. The script is, you can just say Flynn and Zinn are very different, are clearly very different, something like that. And you'll see also that when you do not use first person, I, me, mine, we, you'll use less words, which is important, particularly when we have a word limit on the length of the essay. So we can see how different they are. We can just say Flynn and Zinn are clearly different, are very different. So then you say, I think the definite belief. Don't say I think. I mean, just declare what you think, what is the difference, and then prove it. Put forth then. So the definite belief or views of them does not. The definite doesn't. Do not. I don't know why I say does not. Do not pop up that much. It does, though. I feel. I would just say Flynn. You see, Flynn got a moderate historical aspect compared to, or in comparison with, Zinn. So again, you can choose either one of those, compared to or in comparison with Zinn. Which one do you prefer?
In comparison with.
Oh, right, in comparison with Zinn. So again, I'll let you clean it up. With Zinn. So the attitude that when they deal with this history is a significant difference. Then what criticism does Flynn put forth as Zinn as a historian? I say avoid asking rhetorical questions in scholarly writing. You just tell me what is the difference and then prove it. Okay. Flynn argues, you can just write, Flynn's main argument is that Zinn distorts history. right? That's his main critique. See how you just make the statement and then you prove it. Flynn says Zinn distort the fact for his own opinion. Zinn speaks violent crime has increased enough. Well, actually, I missed that. Declares or that asserts that violent crime has increased and nothing about Abu Jamal's gun being found at the scene, but actually violent crime has decreased. Yeah, I mean, this is covered in the later part of the Zinn book. So this is after chapters 1 through 12, and he's talking about, I think, a killing that happened during the 1970s when there was a Black liberation movement in the United States, and some Black policemen, some policemen were killed by Black liberation fighters, Black radicals who were fighting, who were charged with trying to rob I think what was it? I think a armored car that was carrying money from a bank, because they wanted the money for their national liberation struggle to free Black people by separating from America and creating their own country because of their oppression by white people. So, but that's an issue that's always coming up, because this person they claim that there was a flawed trial, that this person was charged wrongly, but that's not really in chapter 1 through 12. So, so you go on here, this material, okay, good. But actually violent crime has decreased. So yeah, I mean, violent crime did decrease. Flynn's article was published in 2003. So Flynn's article is, already 18 years old. And when Zinn was writing his book or updating his book, crime was a serious problem in New York City, and other American big cities. The homicide rate, the killing rate of people in crimes and murders was double or triple what it was in 2000. 2019 was the lowest it's been in many years, since the middle of the 20th century. Crime had gone down, murders had gone down, but there was a time in I think it was the 1980s, when the murder rate, something like 1,000 people die every year in New York City from people shooting each other. And then it dropped to, 20% of that. Now it started going back up. During the pandemic, during the COVID-19 crisis, murders increased 30% in New York City and others, and overall in the United States, I think was the figure, 30% in 2020. But that's the point that Flynn is making, that Zinn is claiming that that because of the high crime rate, it shows how desperate and cruel American society is. And some people, that their level of social problems in the U.S. is so high that America has this high murder rate, high gun crime rate, much higher than, say, in South Korea or Japan. And then, of course, as evidence of the oppression and exploitation and the hopelessness and anger and frustration of people in American society, when Zinn is writing his book, because the first edition of Zinn's book came out in 1980, and then this is, I think, its 6th or 7th edition that we're using. Zinn died 11 years ago in 2010, so there has not been an updated version of the book since 2010 when Zinn's last edition came out. But when he was writing his other copies of the book in the 1980s, in his earlier editions of the book, murders were much higher in the United States than they have been most recently. And not as high as they are, of course, in other places in the world, but really higher than anywhere else that's that's a developed modern industrialized society, like compared to Germany or South Korea or Japan. And Zinn points to that, of course, but that's an issue later. That's an issue in the second half of the course. You note here that Zinn passed the part about Indians provocatively invaded and did cruelty when many wars were going on. Yeah, so that's in chapter 1, but this also is in chapter 1. So, that discussion about the Indians and the Pequot Indians, I think, is in chapter 1 of the book. So, if you go back and look at that chapter, just keep in mind you already referenced chapter 1. So you need to have other information from other chapters. And then you write here, in terms of Zinn has said that he does not feel the amount need to account for it and merely explains the ways of Sharia designed to prevent class revolution. So I think, yeah, why, I guess what you're arguing here, why doesn't Zinn talk about the cruelty of the Indians? Why only talks about the cruelty of the white people, of the pilgrims, the people that were moving into Indian territory? And you say that Zinn does not need to feel account for it because he merely explains it away as a charade designed to prevent class revolution. Yeah, and I couldn't find where Zinn says that on page 140. Right, I cannot find where this quote is located in the Zinn book, and I'm not certain what you mean by this. Is this page 140 in the Zinn book?
Yes, our textbook.
Yeah, I checked on page 140 and I can't find it there. Maybe it's in an earlier edition. Yeah, I think, how do you think Zinn would defend his emphasis on the crimes and the atrocities and the massacres of the white people, and does not discuss the atrocities or massacres of the Indian people, by the Indian people? Why do you think Zinn would, what do you think Zinn's argument would be, or defense would be? I mean, it goes to the whole argument as to why Zinn produced this book. Why did he produce his textbook? Because, if you read his textbook, it doesn't present America as a very hopeful, glorious, wonderful, amazing, positive project, right? Zinn emphasizes the exploitation, the oppression of people, and this is what Flynn criticizes Zinn for, right? I mean, Flynn in his essay, he says in Zinn's book, there's no discussion of the great achievements of America. I mean, the amazing, the achievements that no other country has ever achieved, and is the first time achieved in the history of the human race. Like, for example, putting a man on the moon. I mean, there's no discussion of that in the book. Oh, that's of course later in the book. There's a, and so how do you think Zinn would respond to the attack or the criticism that he only discusses the dark, exploitative, bad side of American history? How would Zinn, do you think, defend himself?
There's a lot of like cruel thing by elite or hyper class.
Yeah, but why doesn't Zinn talk about the great things that America achieved?
Because I think everybody thinks that America is great and glorious.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I mean, the American children, American students in school, from the time they're not even only in school, from the time they're born, they're taught about how great America is. They learn that automatically. I mean, they learn that from the entertainment industry, from their environment, from their friends, from their teachers. So, that's what Zinn is trying to. He thinks he needs to American students to understand that there are a lot of people in America who are suffering. Who, if you're a typical white student, middle class student, coming from a middle class family, America looks okay to you, but you don't see, like for example, the crime that of course is covered later in the book, or the misery that American Indians face. I mean, American Indians in the United States, their life expectancy is like the life expectancy of people in Somalia, because of their high disease, high alcohol and drug abuse. And why do those people have those problems? And if you don't know about the history of America's exploitation and systematic oppression of people that are not white Europeans, like Indians and Blacks and Hispanics, then you're likely just to assume that there's a problem with those people. It's their fault that they're poor. It's Indians' choice to live the way they live. They like being drunks. They like being alcoholics. They like abusing drugs. They're lazy. They're dumb. They're bad. When, of course, people inherit these traits coming from a long history where those people were abused, going back generations. It affects people's mentality. And of course, it's the easiest thing in the world for somebody to make a baby. Anybody can make a baby. And somebody who, even somebody who's got mental problems because of their abuse by their parents, why did their parents abuse them? Typically, people who abuse children were abused themselves, right? You find that people that are criminals, they tend to have a horrible history. Bad things happen to people that behave badly towards other people. If you look at people that are rapists and abusers of children, they were typically raped and abused when they were children. And so, and then of course, when a child is in a hostile environment, when they're abused, or they in an environment where they see violence by the man against their mom, the man against their mother, that makes people crazy themselves, unless they're unusual, and they will become more like the problems that they experience. But you don't get that from the glorious way that people like Christopher Columbus are portrayed as being wonderful heroes. You don't read about the terrible things he did to the Indians when he came to America. You don't read about how the people that wrote and founded the United States Constitution were taught that that's an amazing document, that those people are wonderful because they create this wonderful country. At the same time, they're very much concerned about protecting their slaves and their human property that they owned as slave people, and how they also use the Constitution to advance their interests. So and then they also use the Constitution, the government, to control how people think about themselves through their money and their use of their money to control business and media. And you see the consequences that, somebody like Howard Zinn, who's a Marxist, he wants to understand why, partly he wants to understand why don't Americans realize just how much they are suffering. And he says it's because of brainwashing by the powerful elite going all the way back to when America was a colony of Britain. And we talked about Bacon's Rebellion and the laws that were passed to teach white people that they should hate and fear Black people. And they should not unite with Black people. Poor white people should not unite with poor Black people and struggle together. And the labor movement made some progress in that effort to unite people from different cultures and different backgrounds. But still, racism is still the biggest source of conflict in American politics. And it's the weak. It's one of the reasons why the labor union movement is weaker in the United States, than is in any other country, perhaps compared with Europe and Korea and Japan. And you see, because the labor union movement is weak because of the division of people on the basis of racism, that American social welfare policies are among the weakest in the world compared to like Germany or France or Italy or even Great Britain or Japan. Like, we still are struggling to provide universal health care for people in America. There's still millions of people that do not have easy access to a doctor if they get sick. I mean, they have to do something that's technically not legal, like they go to an emergency room. So you see all of these people that don't have any money and don't have medical care insurance. They go to an emergency room, and the hospital has to see them, and then they can't pay the money back. And so it's a big problem in the United States, but it's a big problem because Americans are taught that big government is bad, and big government is socialism, and that Black people and Hispanic people and Indian people, they want socialism. They want big government in order to get compensation for the crimes of the past. And this is what Donald Trump and others criticize Zinn and his followers for, that critical race theory is this current form of how it's discussed in the US, that they don't want this kind of Zinn's kind of history taught in schools, because it makes white people feel, it might make white students feel guilty and ashamed of themselves and ashamed of their country, which of course serves the interests of leftists who want to change America. So, I mean, I think just to conclude here, because we only have a few minutes, but I think one of the reasons why Flynn is so angry at Zinn is because clearly America is a very attractive place to many, 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 many people around the whole world. I mean, why is this class I'm having with you right now in English instead of Japanese or Chinese or Russian? Why? Because America is America is very influential around the whole world. And it's influential not just because it's got a big military. It's influential because people like America. Koreans, lots of Japanese, lots of Germans, lots of Italians, lots of people all over the world, they like America. And why do they like America? Well, you don't get any understanding of why they like and admire America from reading Zinn, according to Daniel Flynn. You don't have any understanding of why the world loves America. Instead, all you read in Zinn is the evilness of America, its history. When America saved the world from communism in the view of people like Flynn. America saved the world from the Soviet Union, which was supposedly trying to conquer the world and establish a enslaved communist world empire, the way, you know, that the Soviet Union was, or China was under Mao Zedong, or North Korea under Kim Il-sung, and then Kim Il-jong, and then Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un, right? Yeah. And Zinn and his followers, the people that use Zinn, like me, make you read Howard Zinn. People like me, thousands of teachers and college instructors, make you, students, read Zinn and make you come to dislike America, make you come to resent and weaken America's will, the will of the American people to stand up for their system and fight for freedom and justice in America and around the world, because they're taught they should be ashamed of America. When America saved the world from communism, and now we have other problems like terrorism, supposedly, or China, right? The communist China government is a problem. How are we going to fight these new evils that are threats to freedom if people are being taught by the followers of Zinn that America should be ashamed of its history? And that America is founded upon racism and exploitation. So I think that's part of the context for understanding Flynn. So you have any questions?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sir, you said you cannot find the quotation
On page
of
140?
page. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but there is quotation on page 140, or on PDF file there is 156.
On what, on 56?
Yep, on PDF file on page 156.
Okay,
But on the
156. Okay, not on page 140.
yeah, on the book there is 140 there, but PDF file there's
Okay, okay, I'll look for
156.
it again. Okay, okay,
All right.
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay, so let me send you this paper because that I just made a couple more changes to. Go like this, and then later when I have when I'm done this morning, I will send you the video recording link for this. Okay. Okay,
Okay.
that's all for today then.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, bye.
Yep.